Hello, everyone. Monday of week 15. What a time we've had. So to get started today, I want to go back to what Rachel shared with us on Wednesday of last week, and then I'd like to add a little bit of something on top of what she suggested. So remember, with her, we were practicing breathing in. She was having us breathe in for 3 and out for 5. And so there can be even a little bit deeper of a way to experience this if you we're going to do 2 things. We're going to breathe in for 3 and then hold for 3 and then breathe out for 5 and hold it out for 3. So it's 3, 3, 5, 3. So let's do that together as we set our intentions and get ourselves centered. I know that today has been a raucous day in my household. And so this is really maybe this is just for me, but I hope that it can benefit some more of you out there too. So taking a moment to settle, exhale, and then breathing in for 3, 1, 2, 3, and holding for 3, 1, 2, 3, and then out for 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then holding it out for 1, 2, 3. So we'll do one more cycle of that. In for 3, 1, 2, 3. Hold for 3, 1, 2, 3. Out for 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then hold for 3, 1, 2, 3. So what we're going to do now on the in is think about some words. So right now, I feel as though I'm breathing in sunshine, and I'm breathing out caring. I might breathe in expansion and breathe out connection. So we can add words to these, breathing in peace and breathing out love. Adding words to your breath helps to set an intention. So just a couple of very quick announcements. The doodle poll for TA Conversations, there are just a couple of slots left. And so if you are wanting to sign up for a slot, but there's not a slot available for you, please send me an email message and we'll just set up another time outside of what's on the doodle poll, and so that you can make sure that you get your opportunity. The blog, I sent out an announcement this morning that the blog and the Packback will both be closing Thursday at 4. So you'll have an opportunity to make up any Packback original reflections or responses anytime between now and Thursday at 4. And so that's going to happen. We're nearing the end, and so to have time for the TAs and I to get all the grades together, we close all of those things at 4 o'clock on Thursday. And then today we have a very special class. The folks that are going to present, that are going to share with you today, are 3 of the students that have been learning coordinators this semester. So you have seen them in a few other special videos, special guest star opportunities this semester. They're the learning coordinators. And what that really means is that they were in your seat as BiSci students From there, they did the training semester, and then they TA'd for a semester. And what they've done now is they spent another semester training the set of TAs that's working right now. And now they're mentoring those TAs through that semester. In addition, all of the learning coordinators for this semester have also had TA groups. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to them and all they have done for me and all they have done behind the scenes for all of you over the course of this semester. So you're going to hear from 3 of those folks today, and I'm going to turn it over to Erin to make that happen. Thank you all for being with us today.
All right, it's starting.
Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany and I am here to speak with you today. Specifically, I want to talk about the hero's journey and specifically what my hero's journey has meant to me, what I have learned and how I've grown throughout my whole BiSci experience. I came into BiSci 2 years ago as a really normal girl, which sounds really weird, but I was 18, I was fresh out of high school, and I had really done everything I was supposed to do. I was who I was supposed to be, there was a path for me that was, like, get as best grades as you can, like do your best in sports and all your extracurriculars and, make friends and whatever and apply to college, SAT, like all those things. All those things are what I had focused so much on in my life. I spent my entire 4 years of high school thinking about my future, thinking about college and my career and my life. And I started to kind of hold the belief that those external factors, so my classes, my grades, and my goals, and like my accomplishments and all of those things, I started to really hold fast to this belief that of like destination addiction, right? Like we talk about it in BiSci, destination addiction of thinking that happiness it comes after success, and success is like getting good grades and like all those things that I just dove into. And so coming into BiSci 2 years ago, I was so focused on those things. I was so focused on that side of life. I didn't even realize how much it was affecting me. And I was someone who I knew how to follow the path. I knew how to get things done and how to be a good student and how to be a good friend and like, check all the boxes. I was checking all the boxes and I thought that that's what living was. And then I came into BiSci and I started to realize that maybe there's more to life than that. Maybe there's more to life than going through the motions and thinking that that's what living is. And so going along with that, it's not that I wasn't happy. I was happy. I have a great family and all my needs are met. I have, a house and food and everything that I need. I had all my needs. But I was also someone who, because I was so focused on that external world, I was really stressed and fearful, really fearful, anxiety. I had a lot of like physical representations of stress and anxiety. Like I would grind my teeth so much that my jaw would lock. My senior year of high school, this would happen all the time. And like I'd get so much anxiety that I'd bite my lips until they bled. And it was like my body was trying to tell me, Tiffany, this is not normal. Like this is not the way it should be. My body was physically expressing the inner stress, the inner turmoil that I was feeling. And if thinking back to that person who I was, 2 years ago, I think a lot of people ask, what would you say to your younger self? And I thought a lot about this actually, because for a long time I didn't know what I would say. But looking back, I think that I would say, you don't know this yet, but life is not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be this hard. And that's a quote from Grey's Anatomy. Meredith Grey says it in one of the early seasons. Anyone who knows me knows that I love Grey's Anatomy. That's a little aside. But life is not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be this hard. And I think that, like I said, I was so focused on everything that I can control and success and destination addiction that I lost sight of the things that really make life worth living. Like, I knew how to get good grades, and I knew how to be successful and to get into a good college and get involved with organizations and, do the things that my parents did and that I was expected to do. I knew how to do all those things, and yet I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I didn't know how to reflect on my feelings and express them to others. I didn't know how to truth speak. I didn't know how to let go of the fear of failure, let go of the fear of disappointing others or the fear of judgment from others. I didn't know how to live outside of those things. I didn't know how to tap into, all that depth, like vulnerability, truth speaking, all of that. I didn't know how to do any of that. And so I was living a very unbalanced lifestyle. Whereas I knew how to be in the north. I knew how to do the things, the expectations, follow the path, follow what was expected of me. But I didn't know how to truly, truly live. I didn't know really what that looked like for me. I didn't know how to tap into that. And so coming into BiSci, I was placed in a lab with 12 strangers who would eventually become very close friends. But I had this TA, and she was probably everything that I was not. She was so vulnerable, so free. So she would just laugh. She could cry in front of others, which is something that I had never done before, that I had never experienced. She would just sing sometimes. She was confident enough to ask people questions and make people uncomfortable a little bit. And she was just such a vibrant and energetic, colorful, positive person. And her existence, her just persona, just being able to observe her in lab, I was so taken aback by her because, like I said, she exhibited so much of what I lacked. And I remember one day in lab, it was a few weeks in, and I literally asked her, are you high? Are you on drugs? Because I just couldn't comprehend how someone could naturally be so alive, just so free and alive. And obviously she was like, no, I'm not on drugs. Why would you even say that? And that was pretty audacious of me to ask, looking back now. But I was just so taken aback by how free and how alive she was. And so, learning from her and learning that there's more to life, there's more freedom to life than I had initially thought. And just doing my journals and everything, I started to explore and I started to question and just I really started to think outside and to question my beliefs and everything that goes along with journaling. And I started to realize how much I was silencing myself, how much I was silencing my feelings, that I was silencing my thoughts, that I was really silencing my inner voice, and I was living a life not to be myself, not to find like my purpose, but to follow a path, but to live up to expectations. I was living not to be a disappointment rather than living to find my purpose, if that makes sense. Like I was trying not to be a disappointment rather than trying to be like powerfully myself and find what makes me come alive and like go do it, like that quote that our guest speaker said a few weeks ago. And so I remember in one of my ending journals, I wrote one sentence that has stuck with me ever since. I wrote, "I am exuberant." And I love that word because when I hear it, I just think of like light and the sun and colors and laughter and joy and just like exuberant, like just, it's just like light and power. And that was a really radical sentence for me to write because I had never thought of myself like that. Never. And for me to acknowledge my own aliveness, my own power of choice, my own unique light and life that I bring to this world was really, really radical. Coming from a place where I was so insecure, so lacking really true joy and not understanding my own feelings and all of that, like buying into destination addiction and economism and all of those things. And then going and saying that, like, I am exuberant. I am more than the expectations of others. I am more than just following a path. I am powerful. That was really, really an empowering experience. And so that was kind of one of the things that I took from BiSci. And then going into like being a TA and bringing that to my students, I realized that it wasn't just me, that I wasn't the only one that was kind of not living up to my potential, not living up to all of the joy and love and peace and beauty that life can offer, and just kind of going through the motions. That wasn't just me. This is kind of an epidemic, I think. Like there is, the pandemic, but besides the pandemic, there is such an epidemic, I think, in young adults to not realize the power that they have, the voice that they have, the amount of depth that life can offer. We are more than just students. We are more than just, like in the workforce. We have such beauty, such love, such possibility and capacity inside of us if we realize what it means to truly live. So my hope for you, for each and every one of you, is that you discover what it means to truly and deeply live, to let go of the fear and the silence that holds you back, and to find out how to truly, truly live. This looks so different for everyone. I would have never thought that my junior year of college I'd be living in a house with 4 girls who are wild, and we, go skateboarding and rollerblading around the block just to let off some steam, and to go on spontaneous trips and to drive 20 miles just to buy some good donuts and just to have like adventures and silliness. I never thought that I would be planning to change my whole career around my junior year of college. I never, I'm an English major now. I'm thinking of going to med school. Like, I never thought that I would be close with professors and, go over to their homes and speak with them and go to Doc's community garden, and like all of these things I never pictured. They weren't on the path, they weren't a part of the plan. But these little moments and those feelings and that depth, that's what makes life worth living to me. And so, whatever your aliveness, whatever truly living looks like for you, whatever living authentically looks like for you, I hope that you find it. And I hope that you find what truly makes you come alive, because that is what the world needs. That's what we need. So, my discussion question for all of you is, what makes you come alive? How do you experience your own aliveness? And how can you start to choose that life, choose that aliveness, choose that joy over expectation and normalcy? Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, BiSci 3. This is take 5. Sorry, no, I just have to do that to get my nerves out. Good afternoon. It is take 5 or 6, though. My name is Erin Brown, and I'm one of the I have heard me singing through the live stream or munching on my sandwich. But I have been with you all semester, and it is an absolute honor to be given the opportunity to speak to everyone in this virtual room today. First of all, thank you, Jen, for allowing me the mic. going to get started. So I just want to preface, I'm going to tell you my story. Not my story, but a story. And this isn't a story I always like to share with people. So I trust everyone in this audience, and I trust myself. And I'm sharing this story because I'm learning to love all the parts of myself. And most importantly, I'm learning to live my truth. And that's going to be the theme of my story today. So my BiSci journey began at the beginning of my sophomore year of college, a long time ago. Not really. Feels like a long time ago. And I walked into Thomas 100, and I thought the class was really weird. I did not like it. I thought this class makes me uncomfortable. It was my first impression. And then in the beginning of my sophomore year, I went to an off-campus party, and I was sexually assaulted. And after that event happened to me, I was really confused, and I was dazed, and it was awful. Those are the words I would use. And all of a sudden, I felt like what had happened to me had become public knowledge through the community and where I lived. And I was angry. After I got past all the confusion and the fear, my strongest emotion was anger. I was burned by friends who had turned against me or treated me differently, by people who did not believe me. I suddenly no longer felt comfortable sitting next to strangers in class or walking through my own dorm. But it was during this time that I was taking BiSci, and it was very serendipitous now that I think about it. But it was through BiSci, I think, that it was the first time I felt a sense that someone in the room actually cared about me, or cared about my story and my journal that I wrote that my TA read. I did not write it to him. And at the end of my first semester of BiSci, I decided that, you know what, I'm going to take all these angry emotions I feel, and I'm going to channel them into action. I decided I'm going to address sexual assault on Penn State's campus. So I started meeting with administrators. I started talking to students about it. I met other students like myself because I wanted to create a community that felt safe. I realized that this is happening to many, many students each semester, and we're such a big school with 40,000 people. Why aren't more students talking about this? Clearly, if everyone was paying attention, then we would have fixed the problem by now. I planned to, in BiSci, we talk about walking on water as something impossible that you don't think you can do. At the time, this was walking on water for me. I said, this is one of the hardest things I'm going to do. And I planned a town hall in my dorm and where I lived with to talk about sexual assaults that had happened. And within my community, I met with students. I worked to change freshman orientation for the college I lived in. I met with people in student government. I said, how can we get the university to change this policy? Or how can we make Title IX easier for students? Or why can't we bring in more speakers? Why can't we have more students aware and talking about this? Because it's most likely happened to someone you know. And I got all of this courage or this lion-hearted ideas from BiSci. BiSci was always about showing up and telling everyone honestly how you were feeling, what you were doing, and truth speaking, not holding back. Because in order to be fully human, to quote, I think one of the books, or maybe Doc himself, you had to live your most authentic self. And that is not always easy, as I'm sure many of you have discovered throughout this course. And my whole fully human was speaking truth to power. And when I look over the past few years, I did blow up anything, but I made some changes and I had an influence on people. I thought at the time, at the beginning of my sophomore year, that that would make me feel complete. I thought I just have to solve this problem and I'm going to fuel all my anger and rage into this and some other stuff. But this was going to be my passion project. I canceled my study abroad. I did a lot of other things, but it wasn't until last year. Sorry, I need a glass of water. It does really dry. Okay, back to the topic. It wasn't until last year, sitting again on Bio 400 with all of the current TAs now, that I realized I'm not a happy person. I thought truth speaking and serving my community and addressing this problem would make me feel fully human, which was kind of in the back of my head, my whole goal. I wanted to be the best version of myself. And in all of my angry haze, I think I forgot how to feel compassion and love and kindness towards strangers. I went from numbness to a sense of, I don't even know how to give someone a hug anymore. I don't know how to say hi to the person who sits next to me in class. I sat next to someone my whole semester of BiSci. We always walked out at the same time. It was just the way the lecture flow went. We saw each other every day. The person wasn't in my lab, but every Monday, Wednesday for a whole semester, I never said hello. I always would wonder though, I'm like, what would be different if I started showing kindness towards people who were just random strangers? Why don't we say hi to people more? And this, I realized I was having all these ideas. I was so hung up. I'm like, why didn't I say hi to that person? I sit down in classes and I always say hi to people now. And it was because for a good portion of my college career after that event had happened to me, after I was sexually assaulted and I had a lot of my security and autonomy and safety and a lot of what I thought made me taken away from me, that I was choosing to be angry. And I was choosing, which is fine. It's okay. Anger is important. But I was so wrapped up in that spiral that I forgot to be happy and to love and to show compassion towards people. And I thought in a way that everyone was out to get me or that nothing was fair. And yes, the majority of things in life are not fair. The system is not fair. College is not fair. That's a fact. That's what I learned. But I learned that not everything is like that. I was talking with one of the TAs in Bio 400 last year, and I was just explaining I was having a tough time at that time of the semester. I was just really frustrated. And he said, you know, you sound like you're not happy, but that's your choice. He said, you know, you've done all this stuff and you're trying to solve all these problems, but you're choosing not to be happy. You know, happiness is a choice. It doesn't just come to you by checking boxes, by getting a certain job, by graduating, by joining this sorority or fraternity or this club. It's a choice. And you have to make the choice if you want to be a happy person. And at the time, I thought it was a little like, I was like, okay, I don't know what that really meant. But like most things in BiSci, I chewed on it a little bit. I thought about it. Then the pandemic happened. That's a whole other discussion. I'm not talking about COVID today. That would take too long. And I realized over the past 9 months that I can truth speak and live authentically. And that's important for me to do because part of who I am is who I am despite all these scars and imperfections I see at myself. But at the end of the day, if I want to be my most authentic self, I have to choose to be, and I have to choose to be happy, and I have to choose to pursue the things I want. The most important lessons I've gotten out of BiSci, the scientific community that will always support and love me, is that I'm going to be myself, and most importantly, I'm going to choose to be happy. I may not always choose to be happy. I can't promise myself for the rest of my life that I'm going to make all the choices that will make me the most happy person. But I no longer want to lead my life fueled by anger. and resentment. I think anger is okay sometimes, but it's okay to choose compassion and love for your community rather than do things just because you're an angry person. So I'm always grateful for the idea of choice, truth speaking, and how am I positioned to serve others. As my BiSci journey comes to an end, that was my story in a nutshell of what I kind of learned about myself through the period of this course. And I know everyone out there has a story too. And I hope one day that you're ready to live that story. Not to sound cliche. But this is my swan song. After this, I'm going to graduate next semester, and then I will start an entirely new journey that I am not ready yet, but I think I'll be ready when the time comes. But most importantly, I have the tools and a family that will always be there for me on the journey. Because that's what life is. It's the hero's journey. And if I walked on water once, I'm sure when the time comes, I can walk on water again. Hopefully. So my question for everyone after listening to my story is, how can you live your authentic self right now? Are you doing it? Are you truly living your most authentic and wonderful life? Are you allowing yourself to be free from all these restraints? And my question, which also to myself and to you, is what do you choose next? I clearly am going to have to make a lot of choices in the future. And I hope that in the end, I choose to be the best version and the most happiest version of myself. So thank you all for listening to me today. And I want you to ask yourself that question because I think it's an important one. Are you living the most authentic version of yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Jimena and I've spoken here before during the home lecture. I'm also an LC and today I am speaking again. I don't know if this is the last time I'm gonna be speaking here, but yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm a little bit nervous even though I cannot see any of you. It's okay. It's really nice to be able to talk to you today, even through virtual means. It's still pretty impactful and it's really important, and thank you all for letting me speak to you. So, like I said, I'm Jimena, I'm an LC, and I've been in BiSci for 5 semesters now. And it's been amazing because I've gotten the chance to learn and go through the material so many times and through very different perspectives each semester that it's just allowed me to grow and to learn the material so much better. Yeah. I remember being a freshman and seeing the LCs or the TAs speaking in front of a class of 600 people, more maybe. And I just remember how much that probably meant to them, how amazing that was for them to be able to share something that they cherished about this class so much that they wanted to share it with you. Sort of step into that uncomfortable position of speaking to so many of you. Yeah, I mean, even if the circumstances haven't allowed me to be in front of all of you today, it's still really, really nice that I get to share this message with you all. Yeah. Oh, here we go. One of the things that BiSci has taught me is how things evolve and things change and things, people, societies, ideals, they all go through this process of metamorphosis, this process of change, and you may not be noticing it now, but you are changing. You are going through a process of change that right now may not seem too significant, but later on, I promise you, it will show. And that is exciting because that means that you're learning something. That means that you're going through processes that later on in life will help you guide others. And I think that's something very, very amazing that BiSci has taught me through the whole process of like being a student and then a TA and then, like, yeah, just the whole process of that is just genuinely amazing, and I'm very thankful for the people who have helped me out with this journey. I'm not here to speak about myself though, I'm here to speak about you. I believe that you're in this class for a reason, and I believe that reason is because for whatever mysterious purposes it is that you ended up in this class, it is because you had to listen to the teachings of BiSci. And there's so many. We've gone through so many with your TAs. I mean, the activities you've done in your labs and the conversations that you've had and the lectures that Jen has shared throughout the semester, they're for a reason. They're for you to listen, and you're here because something had to catch your eye. Something had to stick with you like glue, and you may not know the reason right now, but later on, I assure you, it will help you go through this metamorphosis thing. Yeah. Right now, I am probably in my last semester of BiSci, and that's a little freaky, that's a little scary because I don't know how to not be with this class. It's a little silly to think about that, but yes, and some of you may continue this journey through being a TA, or some of you may just choose to move on and go about your lives without having to be involved in the class actively. However, the teachings that you learned this semester, that your TAs helped you learn, that Jen helped you learn, are gonna stick with you. They're gonna continue with you, they're gonna grow with you, they're gonna evolve with you. You're gonna be able to put them in practice, and you're gonna be able to develop them into some kind of tool that will allow you to be a better version of yourself. Whether this class was really impactful for you or not too impactful, I urge you and I invite you to hold on to at least one of the things that you've learned in this class, because I promise you it'll come in handy. And one day, maybe far in the future or near in the future, maybe tomorrow, maybe today after class, one of these teachings is going to come in handy as a tool in order to go over some obstacle or something that you really want to achieve, and you're going to look back to BiSci and you're going to think to yourself, damn, I'm glad that I learned this. I'm glad that I actually paid attention to class. I'm glad that I did all those journals, because they're going to come in handy. They're going to be part of you at the end of the day. You know, whatever it is that you take in, you transform with your own thoughts and your own experiences, and that is what BiSci is all about. You take in the things that you learn from other people, like I did with Jen, with Doc, with my fellow LCs, with my TAs, my own students. I've taken every single thing that they've taught me, and I've been able to develop it. And that is just truly something very amazing that BiSci has taught me. In addition to that, the lessons, the concepts, the ideas, that you've learned here in BiSci help you grow. But in a very interesting and beautiful way, they have this magical way of translating themselves into the growth of your community as well. So it is important to take into consideration this, because while you're working on yourself and really listening to all these teachings and all your journals, because at the end of the day you're learning through your journals, through your own voice, through your own experiences, all of these process and inward work, at the end of the day, is also a benefit for the community that you belong to, whether it's your lab, your other organizations, your team, your teammates, your family, any other community that you can think of. This inward work will help your community at the end of the day, and it reflects, it shows, and it does create the change that we all want to see in the world. And I think that's pretty powerful. So here's my question for you. What is the teaching that you've learned in BiSci that you wish to hold on to for the rest of your life? It can be one, it can be many. But what is the one teaching that you know you're going to hold on to and that will help you be a better person, that you know is just like your thing, your BiSci thing, you know? Take a moment with your TA groups, your labs, my bad, and share this. And thank you all for letting me speak today to you all. Really happy, really excited. Thank you. Bye.
Jen, we're back.
Thank you, Erin. Thanks for making that all run smoothly.
All right.